Time having arrived, I call the meeting to the City Council for today, Monday, June 24, and it's 7:05. Please rise and help us salute our beautiful flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, colleagues and guests, welcome to our one and only meeting in June of the City Council. And this is a pretty long agenda, so Mr. Clerk, number one, please.
Item 1, we have the acceptance of the minutes of the May 28th, 2024 City Council meeting.
That will be accepted and placed on file.
Appointments, we have the appointment of retired police officer Daniel Leonard to the role of special police officer.
That will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
We have the appointment of Mr. Justin Talbot of Fairview Ave, Brockton, Mass. to serve on the Brockton Conservation Commission for a 3-year term ending July 2027.
That too referred to the Committee on Finance.
Hearings, we have the petition of David Lynch, DBA Lynch's Towing, Repair and Sales of 30 Quincy Street, Brockton, Mass. for the motor vehicle repair license mechanical transfer located at 24 Knapp Center, Brockton, Mass. 02301. In City Clerk's Office, May 10th, 2024. Hearing assigned for June 24, 2024. Fire Department has no objections on the MVR mechanical license transfer. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare the hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk.
Good evening, Mr. President. Attorney Jake Creedon, 71 Legion Parkway, Brockton. With me is David Lynch, the owner of those businesses.
Mr. Lynch, welcome.
Mr. President, through you, the members of the council, there are two petitions tonight for David. This is the continuation of us moving the garage license to West Chestnut Street, where all of the businesses that he had all over the city, even his father before him, moving it all to that location. There is a really huge building that we've built. There are 2 different addresses in that building because it's so big. We have business offices for both, what you'll hear, for both the mechanical, and you'll hear later, the next hearing, that there is same provisions for a motor vehicle auto body on the other end. The parking situation, I won't show you unless anybody wants to see the reduced thing. There are over 400 spaces on that property for some of the other uses. There is very designated spaces for all of the other uses that John K. Holmgren, Scott Farrier has designated on that plan that you have on the little plan. That's the small one. And again, everything has been, it's actually 540. Thank you, David. More than anybody has in the city, I think. The only other comment I have is when I was on the council, we met twice in July, just for the record.
Yeah, you know, times have changed. You know,
we had a lot of work then, but anyway. So that's, we're requesting a motor vehicle mechanic for that location for the Lynch situation. And any questions, either myself or David can answer that.
Mr. Lynch, do you have anything you want to say, or you're good with?
Hi, everyone.
After correcting him that it's actually 540?
540.
Is there anyone else here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk.
David Lynch, 30 Quincy Street, Brockton.
Anyone else?
Matthew Kidd, 162 Bruce Street, Brockton. As a resident of Ward 3, I just know, Mr. Lynch, that there are a lot of auto body places in the city. If every one of them kept them as clean and orderly as Mr. Lynch, the city would be in a much better place. Thank you.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you. Anyone else in favor? If not, I'll declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk. Anyone in opposition? Going once, twice. That too is closed. Councilor Griffin, you wanted to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Creedon. Good evening, Mr. Lynch. I'm all for this. I've seen your operation down there, Mr. Lynch. It's impeccable. You do a lot for the city also. So I encourage all my councils to support this. I know you continue to run a good business, and I'd love to have you expand in Ward 3. Thank you for
Thank you very
investing in
much.
the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Nicastro.
Thank you. Good evening. Lynch's Towing and Repair and Sales was a very good neighbor for all of the years that it was operated on the first block of Montello Street in wonderful Ward 4. I'm sorry to see Mr. Lynch and his business go because he was such a good neighbor, and I wholeheartedly support this and only wish him well for all of the challenges that he has undertaken to get to this point tonight. Thank you.
Well, Councilor, you know, you're actually getting a beautiful building down there that's going to be named after you.
That's right.
Unlikely.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Minichel.
Like everyone else, Lynch's Automotive has always been an excellent neighbor to the city, but that's because David is a Brocktonian true and true. And David also is very generous with respect to the schools and the parades. Many a parade, you see Lynch's, with a float on it or kids on it, everyone having a good time. Lynch's Towing never charges for that. Lynch's Towing always donates it to the parade committee. So I want to just thank you, David, for all of the generosity that you've given to our kids.
Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
It's all true.
Thank you, Councilor. And ditto from me as well, so.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right, the question comes to us on granting by a hand vote. All those in favor of granting? Anyone opposed? It's granted. Thank you, sir.
You can stay right there. Item 5, petition of Hoppy's Repair Auto Body Truck and Collision Center, Inc., of 30 Quincy Street, Brockton, Mass., for the motor vehicle repair license, mechanical and body transfer, located at 32 Knapp Center, Brockton, Mass., in City Clerk's Office, May 10th, 2024. Hearing assigned for June 24th, 2024. Fire Department has no objections on the MVR mechanical and body license transfer. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare this hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and give your
Thank you,
name to
Mr.
the
President.
clerk.
Attorney Jake Creedon, 71 Legion Parkway, Brockton. With me is Dave Lynch, the owner of Hoppy's, historically for the younger members of the council, which is about everyone. Jack Hoppy had an oil company, and he was the first one to have a high-rise sign in the city of Brockton. He's long since deceased. David purchased that property many years, or your father did.
I did.
You did, okay. And it's an auto body situation, which is, as you know, is regulated not only by the city, because you have to have the container environmentally protected situation, and the state regulates it too. David, as you've just heard, is just dots the I and crosses the T on everything he does. And that'll be the same situation here. Numerous parking designated just for that. So I would ask that the council consider passing that also.
I know these meetings must look a little strange to people that are watching us, but is there anyone else here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and give your name to the clerk.
Thank you, sir. David Lynch, 30 Quincy Street, Brockton, Mass.
Anyone else? If not, I declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk. Going once and twice. If not, I declare that portion closed. Now the question comes to us on granting by hand vote. All those in favor of granting? Anyone opposed? It's granted. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Thank you.
Council members, thank you, everyone, very much. I
You got
appreciate it. And hope everyone has a great 4th. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Dave.
Item number 6, petition of J Auto Repair LLC, James Agewi, of 30 Goldfinch Drive, Brockton, Mass., for the motor vehicle repair license mechanical transfer, located at 27 Freight Street, Unit C, Brockton, Mass., in City Clerk's Office, January 4th, 2024. Hearing assigned for June 24th, 2024. Fire Department has no objections on the MVR mechanical license transfer. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare this hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please provide your name and address to the clerk.
My name is Michael Kelly. I live at 302 Judson Street in Raynham. I am the owner of the property that he wants to take the license over at.
Anyone else?
James Iyer with 30 Goldfinch Drive, Brockton, Mass.
Is there anyone else here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk. If not, I declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? Going once, going twice, and I declare that portion closed. Councilors, anybody has any questions? Council Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, sir. I support the transfer of this license, but prior to us doing so, it's important that I do bring up some of the issues that this location had and this unit had, prior to you taking over. As you know, there's a residential complex right across the street from your business, and they had some issues with the prior automotive repair person, and I know, sir, that you are aware of these issues, and you were very helpful in trying to deal with them, but we're going to try to avoid these issues before they arise. And so I'm just going to ask a few questions. Number one is make you aware that there is a residential complex, and so the repair of vehicles post hours, just would not be appropriate, and definitely on Sundays or holidays would not be appropriate. Keeping the garage door open while using some of the hydraulic tools and having loud noise, post operating hours would not be appropriate. So just quick question, what are your intended hours of operation?
It's going to be a regular hours, 8:05. For the most part, 9 to 5, because I had to drop my daughter off in school, so it's going to be 9 to 5 for the most part, yeah.
Okay, and the same on Saturday as well?
Saturday, say 1 o'clock at the most, 12 for the most part. Yeah, so 9 to 12 on Saturdays, and a weekdays is going to be 9 to 5.
Okay, and then obviously Sundays and holidays, your operation be closed?
Yeah.
Okay. I support the transfer, and I appreciate you bringing your business to Brockton, and I wish you tremendous success at this location. I just, want to make sure that we're good neighbors and that you are aware that, you are close to a residential complex. And so, if we just be orderly and stay neighborly, much appreciated. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. So you do understand that the times that you're agreeing with, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
And do you want to say 8 to 1?
Yeah.
On Saturday?
On Saturdays, yeah.
Or is it 9?
I'd move to make that a stipulation.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion has been properly made in second. All those in favor of the stipulations? Anyone opposed? It carries. Good.
Now question
Now, the
comes.
question comes to us on granting by a hand vote with the stipulations. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It passes. Number 7, sir.
Thank you.
All set, thank you.
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Number 7, petition of City Auto Center, Fernando Souza of 3 Avion Street, number 2, Boston, Mass., for the motor vehicle repair license mechanical transfer located at 800 Center Street, Brockton, Mass. In City Clerk's Office, April 30th, 2024. Hearing assigned for June 24th, 2024. Fire Department has no objections on the MVR mechanical license transfer. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare this hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk.
Wilson Silva from 953 Northwest Drive, Northwood, Mass. Avenue Street in Boston.
What's your name?
Fernando Souza.
Fernando Souza.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk. If not, I declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk. Going once and twice, that portion is closed. Now the question comes to us to grant by a hand vote. Did you want to?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Okay. Again, thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, gentlemen. Quick question. So is this a complete transfer of ownership of this particular garage? I know there was the former garage, I believe, C&S or the prior garage that was there. I see that there was a potential cleaning out of the garage, restriping of the parking lot. Is this, I mean, obviously, is it just the repair that's being transferred, or has ownership of the whole building and everything been changed as well?
No, so we lease the place,
Okay.
and so before was like LA sales.
Okay.
Yeah. So they closed down, so we rent from them, but not buying the building.
Okay. Are you also selling vehicles on the property as well?
We will.
All right, so that'd be another license, I believe, what, through License Commission?
Yeah, we applied for that already.
Oh, you have? And there's no auto body work done out of this garage, is there?
No.
No. And again, as I stated to the, the last petitioner, I mean, you're more in a commercial area and you don't abut a complex, but you are abutting a neighborhood. And so just saying, be aware of the neighbors, and, if anybody, if they reach out to you or ask you to, stay within the operation times of your license, that we just want to make sure that our commercial businesses are not disturbing our residential areas. So I just want to make you aware of that you are abutting a residential area. I know you'll run a tight ship there, but just want to make you aware of that. But I do support the transfer. Again, thank you for bringing your business to Brockton, and I wish you tremendous success at your location.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? The question comes to us on granting by a hand vote. All those in favor of granting? Anyone opposed? It's granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
So much.
Number 8, sir.
Item 8, we have the petition of SJM Sun Auto Body, Inc., Hassan Shoaib, member of 194 Rumford Avenue, number 4, Mansfield, Mass., for the motor vehicle repair license, mechanical and body transfer, located at 84 Westgate Drive, Brockton, Mass. In City Clerk's office, May 10th, 2024. Hearing assigned for June 24th, 2024. Fire Department has no objections on the MVR mechanical and body license transfer. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare this hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk.
Yes, Hassan Shoaib of 194 Rumford Ave, Mansfield, Mass.
Roy Abbas, 1 Emerson Place, Boston, Mass.
Anything you want to say to the...
So this is basically a Mako's body shop. We're just taking over, not the ownership, we're leasing the property. We wanted to continue doing body work and mechanical at this shop.
Is there anyone else here in favor of this petitioner? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk. If not, I declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition of this petitioner? If so, please approach and provide your name to the clerk. If not, I am going to close that portion. Councilor Isaac, is that in your ward?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, gentlemen. And as the gentleman stated, this is the Mako Auto Body that's up at the entrance of Westgate Mall off of Oak Street. They have contacted me, and the previous owners contacted me as well. This is just a transfer, and I haven't received any complaints regarding this business, so I wish you gentlemen well. I totally support this, and I hope my colleagues will support the transfer. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Councilor Minichel.
This body shop is squarely situated up at the Westgate Mall. It sort of borders on my ward as well, Ward 1 and Ward 7. It's always been a very orderly, neat, clean shop. And in fact, years ago, I've had some work done there myself. So we welcome you to Brockton. We know that you'll do well. Just please make sure that you understand you're in the mall. There's a lot of people going to the mall. We want other vendors. The Blanchard's liquor store is near there. I believe the fruit store is near there. The bowling alley is near there. There's a lot of nice shops there in addition to your body shop, which is a top-notch shop. In fact, I think you guys, or Mako, did a ton of work for the post office. I think a lot of the post office trucks were done there, too. So it has a great history, but you're located at the mall. So, and we want people to come to the mall and visit and buy things and, solicit our merchants, solicit you and your organization. So please, be cognizant of that. Just like the old owners, make sure that, the cars are nice and neat out there and that, it maintains itself the way it is. There'll be no problems, and we welcome you to come to Brockton. But the mall is a special place. Obviously, it's a huge place for commerce, so please be, aware of that fact.
Yes, sir.
We want you to succeed just like we want everyone up there to succeed.
Yes.
Thank you and welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? Well, the question comes to us on granting by a hand vote. All those in favor of granting? Anyone opposed? It carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Item number 9, we have the petition of Sonia Corbett of 661 West Chestnut Street for a Hawkers and Peddlers license located at 661 West Chestnut Street, Brockton, in City Clerk's Office, May 22, 2024. Hearing is signed for June 24, 2024. All paperwork is on file.
Time having arrived, I declare this portion of the hearing open. Is there anyone here in favor of this petition? If so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk.
Sonia Corbett, 661 West Chestnut Street, Brockton, Mass.
Anything you wanted to share with the councilors?
So my son asked for an ice cream truck. I told him I couldn't afford one, but I could get a push cart, insulated slushy push cart, and we did, and I went and checked on the Brockton city website to see how to obtain a license. I applied for a license. I got the Massachusetts license, but I was told that I had to apply for one for the city of Brockton, so that's why I'm here.
Interesting. Is anyone else here in favor of this petition? Or if so, please approach and provide your name and address to the clerk. If not, I declare that portion closed. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? If so, please do the same. If not, I declare that portion closed. Any questions, councilors? Councilor Farwell.
I just have a question that I probably should know the answer to it, but this is an R1B zone.
Actually, this is just showing the address. It's a Hawkers and Peddlers license. That's not where the sales will be from. Hawkers and Peddlers have to continually keep on the move. This is a slushy cart, and the Board of Health asked her to come in and get the license, but this is a movable. She'll go to playgrounds, and she has to keep moving. On the Hawkers and Peddlers, which we only have one other in the city, Hawkers and Peddlers can't stay in more than one place for more than 10 minutes, I think it is. Then they have to move at least 200 feet unless they're in the middle of a sale. So this is a different kind of license, and again, we only have one other. The reason is it has to show an address, but that's her home, that's 661 West Chestnut. She won't be selling from there.
All right, and Mr. Clerk, I appreciate that. It's just the last few words of the agenda item. It said located at 661
Correct.
West Chestnut Street. It didn't say, and I'm not trying to mince words, but pursuant to state regulations.
No, it's a good question.
And I just wanted to make sure that she understood that you could not operate out of the house.
She does, and she's not looking to operate there. She'll be moving around to different events and things like that, so.
I appreciate it. Thank you. No other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Council Minicello, then followed by Thompson.
Can you explain to me what your cart's going to be consisting of, and how many different products you're going to be selling?
So it will be different flavors of the Richie's Italian ice, which is just like an insulated, maybe a little smaller than this, and I just have buckets that I buy from Richie's.
Okay.
And they have different flavors like lemon, watermelon, cherry.
I think you're going to be a very welcome sight around like the ball fields and soccer fields, because on those hot nights, the kids are going to love that. They're going to basically harass their parents to give them a couple of dollars to come and get a slushie. I have fond memories of visiting my grandparents in East Boston, and there was always those slush carts. And it was like one slush. It wasn't all flavors. It was lemon slush, and you actually could find the lemon seeds inside the big bucket of lemon slush. So it brings back fond memories. So I wish you nothing but good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to do very well in the warm weather as we have now. So make sure you get all that, you make all your money now, because it gets a little cold around here in the winter, so.
Yes.
All right,
Absolutely.
good luck, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, ma'am. The fact that we don't really have a lot of hawker peddlers come before us, Councilor Michello asked the first question, and the second one is, where would you intend to conduct your services?
As the city councilor said, I would go to parks, I will walk streets and just see the kids. I've been doing it in the city of Boston, but prior to that, I came out here because I thought I had the Get-Go Green Card. And the health gentleman, Mr. Butler, he had said to me, oh, you have to apply in the city of Boston as well. I'm like, I'm in Massachusetts. So I did apply, but as I was doing it, the kids were coming up. They was like, oh, wow, we don't have one of these around here. And as this gentleman said, I remember being down at the Boston Commons. I grew up in the city of Roxbury. And we had the slushy carts. We had those, but you don't see them anymore.
Right.
So I decided to do something different for my son. I couldn't afford an ice cream truck. So.
Well, no, that sounds wonderful. So you'll take your son with you to assist?
Everywhere. We have Slushy Squad T-shirts. We just did a big event in Cambridge, and he was right there by my side.
Okay. Awesome. No, that's really great. The fact that you're, have that entrepreneurial spirit and bringing back a tradition, to the city, and I'm sure it's going to be greatly appreciated by the kids that you serve. And I wish you tremendous success.
Thank you.
All right.
Let us know where you're going to be. I want to buy one of the first slushies at your car.
All right.
So, yeah, you need to let the council know where your first operation is going to be, because I need to get a lemon slush.
He's been a great help and patient with me. I think I called you every day for the first week. Like, I want to get this done.
We spoke quite a bit. Unfortunately, there is a state license that is identical to ours, but our ordinances, and we went through the law department to make sure, but our ordinances insist that she have a Brockton license approved by the Brockton City Council. So when she comes in to get the license, I will let you know where the first places she's going to go. So
let us know where you're going to be.
And just lastly, I do understand that I believe it's Inspectional Services has a list of all food trucks that are permitted in the city of Brockton.
Correct.
You may want to try to get on that list as well, so anybody who's holding events will know that you're a licensed operator and can choose a slushy truck if they so choose.
Awesome.
All right, that's in our Inspectional Services Department.
Okay.
Okay.
That's different than Mr. Butler. He's in Inspectional Services.
Oh, is he? Yeah, no, that's,
yeah.
Yes, no, he is in Inspectional Services. Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. You're in one of my constituents. You're in my ward. I just want to welcome you to the city. I wish you nothing but success. If I can help you with anything down the road, feel free to call upon me, and best of luck. I'm sure you're going to do very well.
Thank you. This is a great meeting. I'm just going to say I didn't even know these meetings were held. I bought my home in 2009. I didn't even know we had a committee that comes together monthly or every other month.
kind of.
But, I mean, this is great. I get it. I get the meaning behind it.
It's usually not this nice.
It's
I want
early.
to make sure you know that. but-
Okay.
It's early.
And we meet on a weekly basis, basically.
Awesome.
But any other questions? Well, the question comes to us now by granting in a form of a hand vote. All those in favor of granting? Anyone opposed? It's granted, and best of luck with your product.
Thank
Good
you.
luck,
I
ma'am.
appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Number 10, Mr. Clerk.
We have the report of the Ordinance Committee for its meeting of June 4th, 2024.
Accepted and placed on file.
We have the report of the Finance Committee for its meeting of June 10th, 2024.
Accepted and placed on file.
We have the report of the Real Estate Committee for its meeting of June 11th, 2024.
Accepted and placed on file.
We have communications from the Superintendent of Engineering requesting the layout and acceptance of Bell Rock Avenue from the end of the 1970 layout easterly, a distance of 120 feet, and from Granite Street westerly, 240.37 feet, as outlined in the draft council order attached hereto.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the Chief of Police requesting the appointment of retired police officer Daniel Leonard as a special police officer.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor appointing Mr. Justin Talbot of Fairview Ave, Brockton, to serve on the Brockton Conservation Commission for a 3-year term ending July 2027.
Accepted and placed on file.
We have a communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the transfer of $20,000 from DPW Maintenance Personal Services non-overtime to DPW Commissioner Personal Services non-overtime.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $1,000 from elections purchase of services to elections overtime.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $35,000 from DPW Maintenance Purchase of Services to DPW Engineering Personal Services non-overtime.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize the approval of prior year unpaid bills of $42.18 from Elections Purchase of Service to WB Mason.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that City Council authorize a transfer of $280,000 from DPW Highway Purchase of Services, $200,000, from Fire Department Personal Services non-overtime, $80,000, to Board of Health Personal Services non-overtime, $280,000.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the Executive Director of the Parking Authority requesting the following transfer of funds from Parking Authority Personal Services non-overtime, $3,000, to Parking Authority overtime, $3,000. This transfer will be used to pay for unexpected overtime costs due to employee shortage and illness. The funds are available in the personal service item, hazardous pay.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
That too is accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the fire chief requesting that the Brockton Fire Department accept and expend a total of $13,292.20 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety. The fire department intends to use these grant funds for our fire safety education program.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor recommending the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
That too is accepted and placed on file.
We have a communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $120,000 from Mayor Personal Services non-overtime to Planning and Economic Development, $20,000, Personal Services non-overtime, Purchase of Service, $100,000.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor, from the CFO relative to the same.
That too is accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $440,000 from City Clerk Personal Services non-overtime, $100,000, from Treasurer's Debt Service, $300,000, from DPW Highway Purchase of Service, $40,000, to Law Department Workers' Compensation, $400,000, to the Law Department Property Insurance, $40,000.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $3,700,000 from Police Department Personal Services non-overtime, $2 million, from Fire Department Personal Services non-overtime, $1 million, from DPW Highway Purchase of Service, $700,000, to non-net school spending, $3,700,000.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $13,000 from Human Resources HR benefits to Weights and Measures Personal Services non-overtime.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council authorize a transfer of $184,861.27 from Stormwater Certified Retained Earnings excuse me, 2, stormwater purchase of services in order to cover unanticipated expenses for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Also accepted and placed on file.
Unfinished business, we have an ordinance, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton to adopt a new section of Chapter 12, Section 7, Public Park Cleaning Ordinance of the revised ordinances of the City of Brockton as follows. 12-155.1 Cleaning Program. The City of Brockton desires to conduct coordinated cleanings throughout the City of Brockton. B, the purpose of the coordinated cleanings is to improve the public health conditions within the city. 12-155.2, location subject to this ordinance. This ordinance shall apply to any public property within the City of Brockton. 12-155.3, cleaning program regulations. The Commissioner of the Department of Public Works and the Superintendent of Parks shall oversee the cleaning program. B, the cleaning shall occur between 6:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. on days and locations determined by the Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, the Superintendent of Parks, Director of Social Services, and the Chief of Police, or when a biological contamination has been identified. C, at each location subject to this ordinance, notice may be posted at least 48 hours prior to the scheduled cleaning. See attached notice. D, on the day of each scheduled cleaning, the Brockton Police Department will visit the designated location prior to the scheduled cleaning to respectfully notify any persons at the location of the cleaning unless the police department is unavailable due to emergency circumstances. Such persons shall specifically be informed that they should collect their personal belongings and leave the location during the cleaning. E, at the time of the cleaning, the Director of Social Services and/or a designee, if available, shall accompany the Department of Public Works and/or Parks Department staff in order to provide any persons at the location with information regarding the cleanings and other services available to residents of the City of Brockton. Section 12-155.4, non-conflict with other laws. Nothing in this ordinance shall prohibit law enforcement officials and public safety officials from enforcement of statutory, regulatory, and local regulations within the City of Brockton. In City Council, February 12, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended. In City Council, May 28, 2024, passed to a third reading as amended by a hand vote.
The question comes to us on ordination as amended by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak.
Yes.
Darren Oncourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Teixeira.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
The ordinance is ordained as amended. Number 44.
Item 44, ordinance. An ordinance amending Article 4, Division 2, City Auditor, to create a new position for Assistant City Auditor for School Finance, to supervise, conduct, and coordinate audit assignments relative to school finance. In City Council, March 11th, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable. In City Council, May 28th, 2024, passed to a third reading by hand vote.
The question comes to us on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I could just enter into the record a comment on this, and it
Please do.
pertains to the next ordinance as well. I know this has been before you several times. We have now gone through, I would say, very detailed budget presentations regarding the school department. One thing that I did not mention during the school department debate and dialogue is that we already have individual employment contracts signed obligating the city through fiscal year 26 for some very high-paid positions. So not only for fiscal year 25, we are on the, shall we say, on the obligatory end of fiscal year 26. If ever there were a need for additional levels of supervision, accountability, research, and understanding of how we're spending probably $240 million and another $50 million in grants, it is now. And that's why I think this position is important. I won't rise on the next one, but my remarks for this one would also pertain to the next item that you'll vote on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Well, the question comes to us on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak.
No.
Darren Oncourt.
No.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
No.
Thompson?
No.
7 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative.
The question is ordained.
Mr. President, I move reconsideration in the hope it does not prevail.
Second.
A motion for reconsideration with hopes that it does not prevail has been properly made in second. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed? Reconsideration fails.
Item 45, an ordinance amending Article 4, Division 4, Chief Financial Officer, to create a new position for Assistant Chief Financial Officer for School Finance to assist in policies and procedures affecting the school department budget and procurement, and to monitor the performance of the school department budget. In City Council, March 11th, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable. In City Council, May 28th, 2024, passed to a third reading by a hand vote.
The question is on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
No.
Darren Oncourt?
No.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
No on this one.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
No.
Texera?
No.
Thompson?
No.
5 in the affirmative and 6 in the negative.
The ordinance fails ordination.
Item 46, ordinance, an ordinance amending Article 3, Division 2, Section 2-127, pay plan. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton, Article 3, Section 2-127 is hereby amended by inserting Assistant Auditor for School Finance to the categories of pay plan positions with the initial use of F4SD to designate the position, and by inserting Assistant Chief Financial Officer for School Finance/Procurement with the initial use of F1S to designate the position. Be it further amended that the pay plan reflects the following for compensation: F4SD, Assistant Auditor for School Finance, $106,917 through a top step of $116,831. FS1, Assistant Chief Financial Officer for School Finance Procurement, Step 1, $137,465 through a fourth step of $150,179.
Council Farwell, since 45 failed, would you like to amend this to remove?
Yes, Mr. President, I would move to amend this ordinance by striking F1, the Assistant Chief Financial Officer for School Finance and Procurement.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been properly made and second to amend 46. All those in favor of amending it? All those opposed? The amendment carries. Now the question comes on ordination as amended by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
No.
Darren Oncourt?
No.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
No.
Texera?
No.
Thompson?
No.
6 in the affirmative and 5 in the negative.
It is ordained.
Item 47, ordinance, an ordinance amending Article 2 of the revised ordinances. Article 2, Section 13-4 is hereby amended by inserting the following Section A. Notwithstanding the provisions of general laws, Chapter 30B, as it relates to special education services, no contract for the transportation of special education students shall be paid unless the vendor was selected after competitive bidding conducted by the city's chief procurement officer. The purpose of this section is to ensure the lowest, most responsible bidder is selected. After a bid is awarded, the chief procurement officer or his or her designee shall cause to be published on the city website the names of all successful bidders and the fees charged for special education transportation services. In City Council, April 8th, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended. In City Council, May 28, 2024, passed to a third reading as amended by a hand vote.
The question is on ordination as amended by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the ordinance is ordained as amended. Number 48, sir.
Item 48, ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Section 8-9 of the revised ordinances of the City of Brockton. The following language, the fee shall be increased to $280, billed at $70 4 times per year, shall be replaced by, with the fee shall be increased to $360, billed at $90 4 times a year. In City Council, April 22, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended. In City Council, May 28, 2024, passed to a third reading as amended by a hand vote.
The question is on ordination as amended. Please, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Court,
No.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
No.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
No.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
8 in the affirmative and 3 in the negative.
And the ordinance is ordained as amended.
Item 49, ordinance, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton to adopt a new ordinance of the City of Brockton as follows. Any board or commission that requires an independent outside consultant review for any project submitted by an applicant in which the payment of the fee for those consulting services are paid for by the applicant, the board or commission must solicit qualified consultants and maintain a list of those consultants who shall provide evidence of their qualifications and fee schedules. In any project that requires a consultant review, the board or commission shall provide a copy of the application or make it available online to no less than 3 approved consultants requesting a scope of services for the particular project, anticipating timing of completion, and requiring a fee schedule be submitted to the board or commission within 10 business days. The board or commission shall provide the proposed scope of its services, and proposed fee schedule to the applicant, and said applicant may, in its sole discretion, select one of the consultants to perform the required review service. The board or commission shall direct that all independent reviewers be required to consult with the applicant and the applicant's consultants during the performance of their review in order to streamline and expedite the review process and to make it more cost-effective. Nothing herein shall conflict with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 55G. In City Council, March 11, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended.
The question is on passage to a third reading as amended by a hand vote. All those in favor of sending it to its last reading? All those opposed? It carries.
Item 50, ordinance, an ordinance amending Chapter 11, Section 11-144 of the revised ordinances of the City of Brockton. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton as follows, that the language contained in Sections A, B, and C be stricken in their entirety, and the following language be inserted in its place. Amusement or entertainment businesses, an establishment which has as its principal business activity, amusement or entertainment, shall be allowed up to 200 automatic amusement devices. In City Council, May 13, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinance. That report was favorable as amended.
The question is on passage to a third reading as amended by hand vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries.
Item 51, we have the reappointment of Ms. Kelly M. Hanlon of Brockton, Mass. to the Brockton Beautification Committee for a 1-year term ending in June 2025. In City Council, May 28, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable as amended.
The question is on confirmation as amended by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Court,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the appointment is confirmed.
Item 52, we have the reappointment of Ms. Linda Piantronio of Brockton, Mass. to the Brockton Beautification Committee for a 1-year term ending in June 2025. In City Council, May 28, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable as amended.
And the question is on confirmation as amended by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the appointment is confirmed as amended. 53, sir.
Item 53, we have the reappointment of Ms. Margaret Peg Carney of Brockton, Mass. to the Brockton Beautification Committee for a one-year term ending in May 2025. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable as amended.
The question is on confirmation as amended by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the appointment is confirmed as amended.
Item 54, we have the reappointment of Ms. Sharifa K. Mapp of Brockton, Mass. to the Brockton Beautification Committee for a one-year term ending in May 2025. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
The question is on confirmation by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the appointment is confirmed. 55.
Ordered that the City Council authorizes the acceptance of a gift from Suffolk Construction of 250-foot sections of scrim with a value of $1,000 to the Department of Public Works. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 56, ordered that the following name sum be, and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Appropriation of $900,000 from water revenues, raise and appropriate, $900,000. To DPW Water Capital, $900,000. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable as amended.
And the question is on adoption as amended by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted as amended.
Item 57, ordered that the following name sum be, and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $1,606,805 from sewer retained earnings, $778,059. From personal services non-overtime, $141,146. From goods and supplies, $383,000. From debt service, $154,600. From sewer treatment R&M per thousand, $150,000. To sewer purchase of services, $1,606,805. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Ordered that the following name sum be, and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $400,000 from refuse retained earnings, $400,000, to DPW refuse purchase of service, $400,000. In City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak,
Yes.
Darren Oncourt,
Yes.
Farwell,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Lally,
Yes.
Minicello,
Yes.
Nacastro,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Tavares,
Yes.
Texera,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted. 59, sir.
Order that the mayor and/or treasurer collector be authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to convey the property consisting of 1,972 square feet located and known as Plot 45-1 Montello Street, parcel ID 114-058, to Miguel M. Gomes, 737 Montello Street, Brockton, Mass., for the purchase price of $1,400. Said property to be sold under the Abutter lot program and to be sold with a permanent non-buildable restriction. Said property shall also merge with a budding lot of the purchaser within 6 months of purchase. The 6 months begins at the time the deed is executed. If the grantee fails to merge the premises as stated, the City of Brockton reserves the right to revert the premises back to the city ownership at no cost and for no consideration. At closing, the grantee shall execute a reverted deed to the City of Brockton, which shall be held in escrow by the city pending satisfaction of the conditions stated above. If the reverted deed has not been recorded within 9 months from the date of recording this deed, the City of Brockton's right of reverter shall be deemed to have lapsed. In City Council, May 28, 2024, read and referred to the Standing Committee on Real Estate. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 60,
Mr. President, on item 60, 61, and 62, these are part of our Abutters lot program under the city ordinances, and after appropriate reading, I would move that we take them collectively.
Second.
A motion has been properly made and second to take the items collectively. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It will be taken collectively.
Item 60, order that the mayor and/or treasurer collector be authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to convey the property consisting of 3,769 square feet located in, and known as Plot 218 Warren Avenue, parcel ID 088040 to 574 Warren Ave Investment, LLC, 111 Bay Street, Taunton, Mass., for the purchase price of $1,400. All restrictions the same as above. Item 61, order that the mayor and/or treasurer collector be authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to convey the property consisting of 2,667 square feet located and known as Plot 6-1 Hervey Street, parcel ID 088-069 to 574 Warren Ave Investment, LLC, 111 Bay Street, Taunton, Mass., for the purchase price of $1,400. All restrictions as stated above. Item 62, order that the mayor and/or treasurer collector be authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to convey the property consisting of 2,151 square feet located and known as Plot 43 Main Street, parcel ID 084-107R to 1049 Main LLC, 9B Collar Street, Peabody, Mass., for the purchase price of $1,500. All stipulations as above. All three of those were in City Council May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Real Estate. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by taking items 60, 61, and 62 collectively by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the orders are adopted.
Mr. President,
Madam Ward 4 City Council.
thank you. I make a motion for reconsideration of item 59 in hopes that it fails.
Second.
A motion has been properly made in second for reconsideration and hope that it does not prevail. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed? It fails.
Thank you. And Mr. President, now I make a motion for reconsideration of items 60, 61, and 62 in hopes that they fail.
Second.
A motion has been properly made in second in hopes that 60, 61, and 62 fail. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed? It fails.
Thank you.
Thank you. 63, sir.
Item 63, ordered receipt of the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget appropriations in City Council May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Or do you want to speak before that?
Are we doing amendments?
Are we doing now?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said we're going to do it at the end of the,
You
still
can
have
make
a few pages.
you can move it to the end if you'd like to.
I think we wanted, can somebody make a motion that we move this item to the end of the agenda?
Mr. President, I motion to move item 63 to the end of the agenda.
Second.
Motion has been properly made in second to move 63 to the end of the agenda. All those in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? It carries. So 64, sir.
64, ordered that the common necessity and convenience of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton require the laying out and acceptance of Bell Rock Avenue extending from the end of the 1970 layout easterly a distance of 120 feet to Station 3 plus 95.18, and from Granite Street westerly a distance of 240.37 feet to Station 6 plus 95.55. And for that purpose, it is necessary to take an easement for highway purposes and lay out as a public street or way of said city of Brockton, said easement passing by or over lands of those persons shown on Exhibit A, attached hereto, and parties unknown. Said layout of said street, being 42 feet in width, is shown more particularly on a plan entitled Layout and Acceptance Plan of Bell Rock Avenue, dated May 17, 2024, drawn by J.K. Holmgren Engineering, LLC, 1024 Pearl Street, Brockton, Mass., to be recorded herewith and made a part of this taking. The land taken is more fully described as follows. All the land within the limits of a private way known as Bell Rock Avenue, supposed to belong to parties unknown, being a strip of land 42 feet in width, extending from the end of the 1970 layout easterly, a distance of 120 feet, and from Granite Street westerly, a distance of 240.37 feet, as shown on the herein described plan, to which reference is hereby made hereby made for a more particular description, and we have considered and estimated the damages sustained for all persons who have not waived damages in their several estates as follows. No awards.
Referred to Planning and the Committee on Finance.
Item 65.
Mr. President.
Council Farwell.
Mr. President, if I'm correct, after conferring with the Chief Financial Officer, items 65 through
70. Oh, wait a minute.
76.
I think through 76.
76.
These are transfers, and there's an acceptance of a grant in here. This is to end fiscal year '24 to make sure that we have all of the information in the muni system balanced. It gives time for the city to enter financial transactions, and that is why it needs to be done this evening, obviously after discussion by any member. So I would move that those particular items be acted upon this evening under suspension of the rules.
Second?
Second.
A motion has been properly made in second to take those items and put them, to suspend the rules and act on them this evening. All those in favor? All those opposed? It carries.
Item 65, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $20,000 from DPW Maintenance Personal Services Non-Overtime, $20,000, to DPW Commissioner Personal Services Non-Overtime, $20,000.
Mr. CFO.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to your council members for your indulgence in taking these up tonight. I did send you some detailed information, including the legal basis for these end-of-year transfers. You actually have the legal ability to do it up until July 15th, but given your summer schedule, that's why I asked the council president to take them up this evening, so it didn't require a special meeting. And so this transfer and the ones that follow, as I noted in the email, in addition to the narrative that I provided, we did provide you a detailed budget update. I have copies here. So the law does allow us to move money within the budget, and let me say for starters that this and the items that follow do not ask for additional appropriations. So all of these transfers are within the existing operating budget and are simply asking to move money around from budget to budget to balance out the year. It's a common practice in communities throughout the Commonwealth, and so I'm just asking, I can certainly speak to each of these individually, but they just address a variety of funding and operational issues in several departments. This particular one, as you can see, there were a few of them. When those collective bargaining agreements were settled earlier in the year, made estimates of what we thought those costs would be, and as the year progressed with some of the costs in the collective bargaining agreements, it required us to adjust some of those estimates. And this first one for the $20,000 is just one of those. So that's transferring money within the Department of Public Works to address those costs.
Councilors, any questions? And you don't have to stand since we're technically kind of holding this as this is kind of the FinCom as well. Councilor Lally.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. CFO, on item 69 from the DPW.
No, we got to do them one at a time.
Oh, we're doing them one at a time? Oh, never mind, sorry. No, not on this one. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone on that one? Well, now the question comes to us on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll for 65.
Ezak.
Yes.
Darren Oncourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is ordained. 66.
Just adopted.
Adopted. Oh, it's an order, so I thought it was.
Okay.
Oh, same thing.
Same thing.
I'm foreign.
66, ordered that the following name sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $100,000 from election purchase of services to elections overtime, $1,000.
Mr. CFO, same thing?
Yes, Mr. President, same issue, so I'm, again, happy to provide detail on this or any of them. This is a small amount to cover overtime costs in the elections department.
Any questions, councilors? Again, the question is on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Darren Oncourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 67, ordered that the following name sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $35,000 from DPW maintenance purchase of services to DPW engineering personal services non-overtime.
Any questions on this one, councilors? No questions? The question comes to us on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Darren Oncourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 68, ordered in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the City Council approve the expenditure of $42.18 from elections purchase of service, $42.18, to WB Mason, $42.18.
This one is pretty simple, I believe. Any questions? The question comes to us in a form of ordination by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Darren Oncourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 69, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $280,000 from DPW purchase of services, $200,000. From Fire Department personal services, non-overtime, $80,000. To the Board of Health personal services, non-overtime, $280,000.
Mr. CFO, would you like to say anything on this before I go to Councilor Lally, or do you want to go straight to Lally?
Let's go straight to the counselor.
Why don't we go straight to Lally?
Thank you, Mr. CFO. Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm just wondering why this much to the Board of Health this late. It's usually kind of a quiet department, especially since we took the inspectors out of it, so 280 is a bit of a shift.
It is, excellent question. And so earlier in the fiscal year, as you know, well, let's backtrack to this time last year, when you were adopting the FY24 budget for the Board of Health, you made a very significant reduction to the budget, anticipating your subsequent passage of an ordinance shifting some of the personnel around. And so, as you know, during the fiscal year, the sanitary inspectors shifted from the Board of Health to the Public Property Department. Subsequent to that, we did approve a transfer, you did approve a transfer shifting some of the resources, but that did not fully fund that operation. So these are not increased costs in the Board of Health, it's just fully funding it given the reduction that you made for the shift of personnel. Now, the budget that is before you later tonight for FY25 fully funds in its entirety both the Board of Health and the Public Property Department with the redistributed personnel.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr. CFO. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Explanation pretty good? Okay, well, the question is on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Isaac?
Yep.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted, painfully adopted.
Item 70, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $3,000 from Parking Authority, Personal Services Non-Overtime, to Parking Authority Overtime. This transfer will be used to pay for unexpected overtime costs due to employee shortage and illness.
This one is pretty self-explanatory, unless you have any questions, councilors. The question then is on ordination by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Isaac?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 71, ordered that the City Council authorizes the acceptance and expenditure of the total grant funds in the amount of $196.06. $10,196.06 from the Student Awareness of Fire Education SAFE Grant and $3,096.14 from the Senior SAFE Grant to the City of Brockton Fire Department. From the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety, $13,292.20 to the Fire Department, $13,292.20.
Any questions on this one, councilors? This is money coming in. We like those. So, any questions? Well, the question comes to us on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Isaac?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares? Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted. 72.
Ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $120,000 from Mayor Personal Services Non-Overtime, $120,000, 2, Planning and Economic Development, Personal Services, non-overtime, $20,000. 2, Planning Purchase of Service, $100,000.
Mr. CFO, would you like to, do you have any information on that you can give us, or?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President, because this one's a little different. So the $20,000 is actually to cover personnel costs in the planning department, not for additional staff, but to fully fund the collective bargaining agreement. I should note the $100,000 was actually, we've talked to you before about the practice to not allow purchase orders to remain open for several years, as had been the practice before. There was money that was set aside to pay a contractual obligation with the Commonwealth for $100,000 that was inadvertently closed out. So this is actually to address that obligation to the Commonwealth and was not an issue of overspending by the planning department.
Any questions? Well, the question comes to us on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Aaron-Alcourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nacastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 73, ordered that the following name sum be, and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows: transfer of $440,000 from City Clerk Personal Services non-overtime, $100,000, from Treasurer's Debt Service, $300,000, from DPW Purchase of Service, $40,000, to the Law Department Workers' Compensation, $400,000, to the Law Department Property Insurance, $40,000.
Any questions on this one, councilors? No questions? Well, then the question is on in ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Aaron-Alcourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nacastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
10 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 74, ordered that the following name sum be, and the same is hereby transferred, as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows: $3,700,000 from Police Department Personal Services non-overtime, $2 million, from Fire Department Personal Services non-overtime, $1 million, from DPW Highway Purchase of Service, $700,000, to non-net school spending, $3,700,000.
I see Trish sitting at the desk there, so Trish, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, it's gonna go
If
to
I might,
CFO?
Mr. President, just to give an intro, and then I'll happily defer to Trish Boyer. I want to draw a clear distinction between this transfer request and the discussions we've had over the last year about net school spending and some of the deficits incurred by the school department. This is not that. This expense was anticipated. If you'll recall last year, when the school department budget was before you, the mayor and I recommended a non-net school spending budget of approximately $11 million. And we did so with purpose and intent. And our intent was to hold the school department accountable for their non-net school spending. We knew that the costs would be greater than $11 million and made a commitment to the superintendent and school CFO at the time that should the cost for transportation exceed that $11 million, that we would come back to you and seek a transfer to fully fund those transportation costs. So unlike the net school spending deficit of fiscal year 23 and the challenges for this year, which as noted in your meetings and as noted by the superintendent, we do anticipate that the net school spending will finish this year with a small surplus. This request fully funds the transportation operation for this year. As you know, the recommendation that's before you later this evening for non-net school spending for next year is a $7 million increase over the appropriation from this current fiscal year. But this number does satisfy the requirements for school transportation and community schools for this current fiscal year. We've provided you a spreadsheet that was developed in collaboration between the school finance department and Open Architects, their consultant. Excuse me, interim school business manager Trish Boyer is here to answer any questions you have, but I wanted to provide that introduction and draw a very clear distinction between the net school spending challenges that have plagued us in this request, which I believe is appropriate and expected. And with that, Mr. President, I'll gladly defer to Trish Boyer.
Any questions? Council Fowler.
Actually, not a question, but just for the record, I believe you submitted to us probably 6 weeks ago how we were going to close the fiscal year 24 budget with the school department. We're going to use ESSER funds. I'm not sure if there were Chapter 1 funds, but and then there was $10 million in various frozen accounts or expenditures. And I remember, if I'm correct, that there was always that notation that we were going to be short on transportation. And if I'm right, this is the amount that I believe you had included, might even be a little less, but this was the amount that you included in that synopsis. Have I got it right?
That is correct, Counselor. In fact, it is less, and I will give credit to Trish and her team for making sure those costs were reduced. As you'll see on the bottom, they are using approximately $3.5 million in circuit breaker funds to reduce the liability to the city, but we did anticipate these costs, and they were estimated to be slightly more than this, but you're absolutely correct.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President.
Councilman Minichiello.
Hi there. Does the preschool schedule, the $3 million that it took to, I guess, have the preschool schedule change, contribute to this $3.7 million?
I didn't understand that.
Yes, that did. Adding that third tier did affect that.
So had they not changed the preschool, we wouldn't be looking at 3.7, correct? We'd be looking at 700,000?
That's probably true.
And I don't know what's happening with the private transportation, but everyone that I know charges by the mile in other communities. The private transportation companies are charging, my understanding is, by the hour. And those vehicles are not GPS monitored. So they're fraught for exaggeration, is my point. You can say that you spent an extra hour in traffic, and my understanding is we've also had some reports where students are absent from school, and there's been being billed for those students, or kids are going home half a day or something, and they're still billing for a whole round trip. So it's unfortunate, but I do believe that the school department, with regard to transportation, needs to tighten their belts and tighten their procedures, because I really don't think it's fair that the taxpayer is using $3.7 million, some of it very avoidable. Could be used for new roads or investment in all sorts of different things. Personnel to keep our parks up to snuff, personnel to basically work on, the weeds that we see growing through the cracks in the sidewalks, just quality of life things that the taxpayers care about. So whoever's making these types of decisions over the other side of the street needs to not do it next year. Thank you.
Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. My concern is where this money's coming from. It's $2 million from the police department, personal services, non-overtime. That's a significant amount from our police department budget. Could you speak to that, Mr. CFO?
Certainly.
and its impacts on our, their services?
So, right now, we are anticipating the amount remaining, and this is as of today, in the police department personal services is approximately $2.9 million. And so I do not anticipate that this transfer will in any way impact the operations of the police department. This is money that was budgeted but not spent due to vacancies and retirements and other costs that were not incurred. In fact, because of the challenges of filling positions, the police department in the last several years has pretty consistently run a surplus exceeding $2 million.
And then secondly, from the fire department, again, $1 million from their personal services, non-OT. We've been having a rash of fires over the past few months and a large one just recently. How does this impact their ability to, man their department for the rest of the year, fiscal year?
Excellent question, Councilor. Same answer. So as of today, we're anticipating a surplus in the salaries line for the fire department of approximately $1.8 million. And so I do not anticipate that this transfer in any way will impact their operations.
Okay, I appreciate that. And just lastly, piggybacking on Councilor Minichella's comments, if we were a little smarter with our transportation budget, that $3.7 million would almost fully fund the 97 critical teacher positions that the superintendent is looking for. And so it's just another example of, money being spent on an area where it's not critical, and, due to that, it's not being spent where it is. So just another reminder of the school departments need to really get a handle on our transportation budget. Thank you, Ms. Boyer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Councilor Durancourt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to go back to what Councilor Minichillo stated, if I may, in regard to these new contract, Mr. CFO, I believe you gave an excellent, presentation at the school in regard to how, the transportation company was somewhat too generous, given the fact that now, we have an opportunity to look back at these contracts and stuff like that. So based on what he said, right, I believe it makes sense, instead of paying these contractors per hour, why not looking into miles? We have Google, we have Waze. At the end of the day, I know if I'm driving from City Hall to my house, how many miles it's gonna take me. So I think it's an opportunity for us to look into something like this, whereby people will be able to submit their miles, and even if they don't, we actually know how many miles from Brockton to New Bedford, or from New Bedford to Brockton, as opposed to assuming that people are driving 10 or 15 hours when, some of them are not. And we do have, evidence of people putting hours whereby, some of these kids only go to school, half a day. And I think it is, in the best interest of the city to actually, look into stuff like that, to be more fiscally responsible. And at the end of the day, I guess, given the deficit that we had, I would strongly encourage, the city, if not through you, Mr. CFO, if you are part of that contract negotiation. If not, of course, the mayor is here listening, to look into these things, because I think that, why not? We're going to pay you anyway. If you charge, 50 miles, we're going to pay you 50 miles. If you charge 200 miles, we have to pay you what can be proven. And Google, I'm not saying it's going to be accurate, but if it's 10 miles, you cannot go 20 miles. And I think some of us, work for certain companies whereby we have to submit our miles, and they actually give you an estimate in terms of how many miles, they believe, you can drive, even if you choose your own route. But they know from Boston to Brockton, from Brockton to Boston, this is how many miles it's going to get. So I just want to, emphasize what my colleague stated, just to put my touch into it, instead of, just assuming this thing, let's just use this opportunity to look at these things. And at the end of the day, if we are too generous. I mean, it's not in the best interest of our taxpayer, and there might be the expectation to overspend. And these are the things that we are trying to look into. Mr. Mayor, Mr. CFO, I would strongly encourage you guys to, take a look at this. And of course, Mr. CFO, these were your words, we were too generous. And we are generous, but we have to look at things differently. And I hope that, this is something that all of us can come back and saying this, this is how much we save as opposed to that. So with that being said, I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Councillor Nikesh.
Thank you. Good evening, Mrs. Boyer and Mr. Clarkson. Thank you for being here. So I'm looking at the non-net school spending sheet that came through late in the day by email. And I note that for overtime, it lists, where did that go? No, and I just lost overtime on here.
About halfway down, Counselor.
Thank you. Oh, I see it now. Thank you. It was over $124,700. And what was that for? Whose overtime was that?
Yes, so the best answer that I can give you is from what my experience has been, and there are some contractual clauses in the bus driver's contract that allows for overtime in certain circumstances. I understand if they travel more than 6 hours per day, they are entitled to overtime. When they go to refuel the buses, for instance, it amounts to overtime. So there are a few reasons that are in the contract that made us have to pay overtime.
Thank you. And I note up above, part-time salaries was over $133,000. And what was that for?
Yes, I did not delve into that. This, that was not one of the questions that I had seen before I arrived today, so I apologize for that.
Right.
And this non-net school spending page was prepared by Open Architects.
Yes.
Not by myself. So I'm looking at this pretty much for the first time today as well.
Okay. And finally, the bus drivers were over $5 million.
Yes.
It's so much money. I'd really like to see this brought under control.
I can help with that one, and certainly then again defer to Trish. I believe, and I had expressed this concern publicly at several school committee meetings. The column that you see FY24 revised budget is what was entered into Munis by the school staff prior to Trish Boyer's arrival. And in discussing that in some detail with our consultant from Open Architects, and again, in testimony that I provided several times to the school committee, you'll see, Counselor, that the actual number at the bottom of that column is $12.7 million. And so despite the fact that this city council appropriated $11,245,147, the school department nonetheless entered a budget into Munis that was higher and different from what was appropriated. And one of those items that was entered as part of that $12 million was the estimate of $2,085,000 for bus drivers. So yes, it was significantly overspent, but I believe the original number that was put in there for the budget was faulty and was probably far too low. But one of the things we learned when we stepped in was that the Munis numbers were not reliable. So one of the things that both Trish and Open Architects have been working on is having a budget in fiscal year 25 and Munis that actually reflects what was voted by the school committee.
Okay. So on this sheet, you're showing a non-net deficit of $7.4 million. and you're deducting from that circuit breaker. Just briefly explain for the folks at home what circuit breaker is. Where do those funds come from?
Sure. So circuit breaker reimbursement is the process of, it's actually paid by the Department of Education, and what we do every year, the Department of Ed determines a level of funding for special ed students. I'm going to say approximately $50,000 this year. And what the Department of Ed says is that for every dollar you spend above a particular threshold of approximately that $50,000, you are able to submit to the state all of the expenses above that. So whether it's $50,001 to $200,000 for particular students' services, where we are able to put that claim into the Department of Ed, and the Department of Education has a formula where they reimburse all of the school districts across the Commonwealth a portion of all of those expenses above that $50,000 threshold. And this year, we received approximately $7.2 million in reimbursements.
So what is the 3.5 million that's showing on this sheet?
It's what's left of the circuit breaker.
Okay.
We've already used some of the circuit breaker for transportation.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Mr. Mayor, can I just ask you a quick question? I mean, I was actually bothered by what Counselor Minicello said in terms of basically just the shifting of the tier cost the city $3 million plus. The question to you, I'm not sure if you know or not, but do these tier changes come before the school committee, or is it something that the superintendent and his folks do that on their own?
I don't recall if there was a vote of the school committee on that. I'll find out. We could check the minutes. I don't remember that. And same thing with what Councilor at Large Davenport said. The transportation contract doesn't come before the mayor or the CFO. It's executed by the superintendent of schools. So we have, the school committee has taken a vote already to say, get an RFP on the streets. We need to get metrics, we need to get data, we need to do cost containment measures, but I'll have an answer for you tomorrow on that, Mr. President.
Perhaps this is an area that, I mean, we should, the schools are not paying for this, the city is.
Comes over the city side.
It comes out of the city side, and if the city is responsible for paying these bills, then if not the entire city council, at least the mayor of the city should have a say whether or not these tiers are shifted one way or the other, because it reflects directly on our cost. So if you could kind of check on that.
I think the mayor and the council president should have a say on that. That's my humble opinion.
It should be, because it's coming directly from the coffers of the city. I mean, it's actually a lot of roads, a lot of issues we could fix with $3 million plus. But that's anything else?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Fowler?
Just based on what Councilor Minicello said, I put in a public records request many, many weeks ago prior to the ordinance that we've just passed to go to open competitive bidding for transportation. Based on those emails, it appears as though the transportation office at the school department would call up a vendor and say, listen, we have 2 new students and they have to go from their address to, let's say, the Angelo School. And the email that comes back from the vendor is, oh, I can do that for $200 a day. Or I can do that for $350 a day. Or there's one, I think there's a McKinney-Vento that's down in Fall River, $350 a day. So it's not by the mile, I don't believe there are any metrics. But here's the caveat. The only one that can change transportation policy is the school committee. I mean, we can sit here and we can rail about it, and we can talk about savings. That body is the only one that is empowered to change what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I would say to Mr. Claxon, using your Chapter 324 oversight, perhaps in the coming year, you will have some degree of success in changing how we do things and making things more cost-effective. And if you have to, you could certify that in your professional judgment, we shouldn't be doing something. I mean, I think you have a bully pulpit is what I'm trying to say, Mr. Claxon.
Councilor Latch, just a point of information. The president and myself and the vice chair of the school committee and the acting superintendent, Solicitor Bridges, and the CFO and the acting CFO, Trish Boyer, we have a transportation roundtable meeting. We've been doing that for a very, very long time. We actually have on the docket for tomorrow. So whoever's the new president will be joining, once there's a new legislative session and stuff like that. But I concur with you. Only the school committee can do the policy relative to that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Durancourt, did you want to say something else?
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Mr. Mayor, based on what you just stated, it's like giving the fact that, it seems like the superintendent has so much power when it's come down to the, transportation, negotiation. But, I'll put it to you like this. I mean, at the end of the day, we are spending the taxpayer money, and we see what happened with the deficit. So, I mean, in my view, the superintendent is working for the city of Brockton, but you are the boss.
Not under Massachusetts general law, I'm not. Under the ed reform, the superintendent, in essence, is the mayor on the school side under ed reform. I do not, in my capacity as mayor, rule that person. So if you look at Massachusetts general law, and I know there's a lot of lawyers up there, it truly is a carve-out for a superintendent of schools of a public institution to, in essence, he or she to be the mayor on the school side, and that's just the way that the law is under ed reform.
So, let me just put it to you like this, Mr. Mayor. Given the situation that we were in, obviously we are moving out of it. When it's come down to transportation, I'm assuming if that is the case, then the school committee seems like useless in regard to their views, if I may finish, based on what's going on. What I'm saying to you is that, based on the statement you just made, I understand the superintendent does have, power in regard to the state law, but at the end of the day, we have a fiscal responsibility in terms of how we spend money. And also we have an elected school committee. So if we believe, the school committee believes that, these contracts, right, they are not being approved or if not negotiated accordingly, there should be a call in terms of asking that person to reconsider. And at the end of the day, this is a situation that we are dealing with. So, giving the person in charge, that person might say, I listen to the city council meeting, I hear what they have to say, but I'm going to go my way. And at the end of the day, going your way is really actually spending the taxpayer money, how do I put this, carelessly. So I think we have a responsibility, the entire city has a responsibility to somewhat come together. Even though you may not be able to force that person to go your way, but advising that person in terms of what we think is in the best interest of the city. And I think, we're moving ourselves from paying drivers based on hours as opposed to miles. I think it is in the interest of the school, it is in the interest of the city, and also it is in the interest of what we can do in terms of spending money. And if we come across saying that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts gives that person, how do I put this, the legal authority to do whatever they want, that person might say, I don't care. I don't have to answer to you, or I don't have to answer to anybody. In my view, I think it's a recipe for disaster. And I know there are laws, and these laws must be followed. But at the same time, the superintendent cannot join the school without a vote by the school committee. So therefore, I guess it would be in the interest of them, if not the city council, to come up with certain ordinances to demand that this is how we're going to go from now. So I don't know who's going to be the next superintendent, but I think that might be something that we talk about in the process of hiring that person. Hey, listen, man, in the past, given the fact that the transportation company is new to the city of Brockton, we used to pay these drivers per hour. But instead of paying them per hour, let's just pay them by miles. I mean, I don't think this is too hard to ask, given what we went to, and of course, given the discrepancy in regard to what people might do out there. I'm not questioning anybody's judgment, but I think if we just go, saying that, hey, man, the state gives he or she the power to do whatever they want. I mean, knowing the people that we are dealing with, they will come back and saying that we don't have the answer to you. We will do whatever we want. And I think, like I said, it's a recipe for disaster. I would strongly encourage you, Mr. Mayor, and of course, the CFO, the president of the council, or whomever is part of that meeting to take some of these things into consideration, because I think it would be beneficial to all of us. It's just an advice.
No, duly noted. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman Minichiello, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, sure. I just want to just mention something that I mentioned to the CFO the other day. Obviously, tonight we voted in the city assistant auditor to help out with school finance. The CFO position did not pass. However, I believe that the CFO has some powers that currently exist with regard to school finance, and my suggestion is this, and just for discussion later on, is that we assign through the CFO an individual. I'm just going to use the term a Jay Condon type of person to go on assignment as a designee of the CFO and in conjunction with the CFO's powers, and that person assist with regard to notifying us, notifying the mayor, keeping a watch in terms of what's going on with the monthly budget, helping the schools put together a monthly budget that everyone knows where they're at, especially with regard to transportation. So, to me, that's something that I think would do us all well in terms of having some assistance with monitoring the monthly expenditures with an eye towards transportation as well, obviously. So, just food for thought. That person, that designee, I would have no problem adding money to the budget for a part-time position to assist the CFO and the assistant city auditor, for that matter, just for more oversight, basically. Just a suggestion and food for thought.
Thank you, Councilor. I think we've beat.
Just one last question, Mr. President. Thank you. I'm just a little confused about the private contracts and then our city, let's say the union contract with our bus drivers that we're currently in. It's when it comes to these, the private contractor contracts, my understanding is that those are all voided out by the end of this fiscal year. Wasn't that what we were speaking of?
Yes.
Okay, so none of those contracts are, we will now move on to what we kind of ordained more, putting out an RFP, us judging what the fee should be, and then us putting out to bid.
Yes, that you are correct. And we do have a transportation meeting tomorrow, and we are also meeting within the school department, a few of us to start these transportation RFP meetings to determine exactly that, the rates, the costs, and things like that.
Okay.
So we're starting that process now.
Okay, so hopefully there'll be some cost savings through this measure for this upcoming fiscal 25 budget.
Oh, yes, that's what we're gearing for.
Okay, good. I'm hoping to see it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Councilor Azak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I just, I know these keep coming up and, we keep discussing kind of the same issues, but I have a question. Where are we with the audit? Where are we with the investigation? I mean, I don't know if any of my colleagues have received any information, but I haven't received anything.
I can answer from what I know, Counselor, that both the independent investigation being coordinated out of the city solicitor's office and the audit, which is being coordinated by the school department, are both still in process, and draft reports have not yet been distributed.
Do you know when we'll get anything? I mean, we're making decisions, we're cutting, we're talking about cuts on the city side, the school side is still spending, but yet we have no results from anything, and I just feel like we're just not in a good situation. I feel like we're making decisions, but I don't know what kind of results we're going to get from them without knowing what happened or where everything went wrong. I mean, and this is not necessarily a reflection on the people here this evening, but I feel like we need to start getting answers. I think, what is it, TJ Plant was on last week, but honestly, I didn't feel like he said anything that really helped us. And I know he's getting paid a lot of money from the city, him and his company, yet I was kind of disappointed he wasn't here in person. And I feel like we're not doing anything except spending more money, and that's why I didn't support the new positions that are being, the ordinances for the new positions for the school side. I feel we need to start getting answers, and whether it's for transportation or, programs, we need to start getting answers, figure out where we went wrong before we can fix anything. Otherwise, we're just, I think the city side's bleeding to death. But thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we beat this to death in the sense.
I think so.
But I just, I want to make a reference to number 68, where the Elections Department came in to ask permission to pay $42.18. You're a duly elected mayor of a city. You had to come in front of the city council for $42.18. And yet you've got the school department, deciding on its own, we're going to change this tier and cost the city $3 million. That's what we're having a problem with. It's not that we want to, nitpick what goes on in the schools, because we got a school committee that handles that and the professionals at 43 Crescent. But the fact that in the city side, we got to come in front of us for $48, and then on the school side, they decide whatever the hell they want to do for the sake. And I hope that that's where you get those answers in terms of those tiers, because I think it's going to make a big difference moving forward, that we should really put our heads together. All right, so the question on 74 comes to us for ordination by a roll call. Madam Clerk, I think you've forgotten how to do this. Please call the roll.
Ezak.
No.
Darren Oncourt.
No.
Barwell.
Yes.
Griffin.
No.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
No.
Nicastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
No.
Teixeira.
No.
Thompson.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative and 6 in the negative.
And the order fails.
Is it appropriate for me to speak, Mr. President?
Of course it is. Go right ahead.
I will just say to you, councilors, I have poured my soul and my heart into this for a job I did not ask for the last year. And I live the frustration that all of you have felt profoundly every day, and have been frustrated with the obfuscation and lack of cooperation that I've seen. And I say that publicly tonight. But I must tell you that the consequence of a no vote for an obligation that we clearly stated we had will be a reduction in free cash. The city will have to pay this bill, whether we do it tonight through these channels or it is a reduction in free cash. But I will tell you that the Commonwealth is watching very closely. And another consequence of a no vote and not meeting our obligations could very well be a state takeover. I just wanted to let you know that, so that if that happens, it's no surprise.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilor Falwell.
I know the mayor wants to talk, and I'm not pulling rank on him, but I understand the frustration with the school department. You don't have to tell me about it. I spent 14 years there. We never had the problems that we have now. For 50 years, that school committee functioned seamlessly. We had differences of opinion, but we got along with the city council. We weren't into power and authority. We weren't trying to feather our own nest, so to speak. please don't do this. This needs to be reconsidered. You'll hurt the bond rating. You'll send a message that we do not live up to our obligations. This is not the way to express our angst, and I've used that word so many times in the last couple of weeks, I'm tired of it myself. We can't do this. We just can't do this to this community. You're going to profoundly affect the image of the city in so many different ways with the state. The money is owed. However you wish to slice this, the money is owed. Now, going forward, I hope and pray that we have a better attitude on the part of the school committee and everyone to save money and work together. But what Mr. Clarkson said to you is not hyperbole, it's fact. And I don't think we want to do that to this city. I really don't. So I would say there are other ways to express our frustration, but taking an obligation that we should meet and not paying it and not approving this, and it's going to take 8 votes. A transfer has to be a supermajority of the city council. It takes 8 votes. I move for reconsideration in the hope that it prevails.
Second.
Actually, just to let you know, we don't need reconsideration. The president had not called the vote yet. Because he had not called the vote, anyone that would like to change their vote can ask permission of the chair and change their vote. So if any of...
Mr. Clerk, if he hasn't called the vote, why do they have to change it?
Because right now they're no's. Right now it's 6-5 against, but he hasn't called the vote. So if anybody wants to change their vote...
certified the vote.
He hasn't called the vote.
Okay.
To say what it is. So any of those people, anybody could change their vote right now, but any of those no's can stand up and ask the chair permission to change their vote and be re-recorded.
Let's go with Councilor Azak.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I would like to change my vote because I've always supported the schools, and everything we've done so far this past year is so we don't find ourselves in a situation of receivership. So that wasn't my goal, but my goal is we are frustrated, we're not getting answers, and it's, we're making decisions kind of, I feel empty-handed, like I don't have anything really to work with. So I hope, just to send a message, that hopefully we put fire under the people that need to get us these answers, but my goal was not to damage the city nor the school department, because we're very proud of it, and even in the state that it's in right now. So I would like to change my vote.
Well noted. Councilor Dorenicor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Let me just put it to you like this. I mean, obviously, and I said it before, right? Each of us here strongly believe in supporting the city. And, I want to thank you, Mr. CFO, for acknowledge your level of frustration in regard to the lack of collaboration of what's going on. And I think the message, how do I put this? We were about to send tonight, it's an acknowledgement in terms of the level of disrespect when it's come down to certain people from the school department, assuming that we will do whatever they want. And obviously, here we are at the crossroad. And at the end of the day, I think each of us does have a responsibility to do what we're supposed to do to protect the interests of the resident of Brockton. And of course, not passing this tonight, which I knew would have been very detrimental to the future of the local government. And with that being said, I hope that Mr. Mayor, and of course, those of you who are watching at home understand that the City Council is not a joke. And if you assume you can come in front of us and believe that, we are a bunch of people pretending to do work, you're going to have to face the consequences. So for somebody like myself who strongly believe in education, I don't want to sit here and pretending that I don't want to support this. This is not the message. The message is that, we have been disrespected, to the highest. And when we ask the questions, it seems like no one wants to get back to us. And of course, you said it yourself. If you are the CFO, given the situation or the problem we have been facing, you are facing, heads-on problem. What about us? And at the end of the day, sometimes I feel like some people assume they are doing us a favor by virtue of asking, those questions. So, in the spirit of what it means to be a city of champion, in the spirit of who we are as, elected official, Mr. President, I would like to change my vote to support this. But one thing that I want to making sure that at least they know, this was not easy, and they know, like when we sat here this afternoon, we cast that vote. We cast a vote in the interest of, the city of Brockton. So at the end of the day, and I hope the next time that we have, some of these people here, at least they show some kind of respect, some kind of willingness to share the knowledge that they have in terms of like how we can work together as a community, as opposed to assuming that, ask the questions when we ask you the question specifically. So with that being said, Mr. President, I will leave it there, and I hope that some of my colleagues will take this into consideration too, to change the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Minichiello?
The lack of any regard by the schools with respect to the decision that cost the city $3 million is just outrageous. The decisions being made without any concern as to financial consequence is outrageous. It's no one's intent here on the city side to hurt or harm the citizens of Brockton. So as a result, I will change my vote. But I want it clear that the schools had better understand that they need to take mind as to what the financial consequences are to their decisions, and that this body exposed them for who they really are, for how they make decisions without any regard for the taxpayer of Brockton. They do it because they can do it, and this body is not going to tolerate it. And we're only changing our votes because we care about this city and we care about the taxpayers who had nothing to do with this. But I think we certainly showed everyone in the city who is currently operating that school system. It's not the teachers, it's not the aides, it's not the people on the ground taking care of our kids. It's the people making the decisions. And we know who they are. And they better watch out, because we are going to make sure that we don't allow them to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Minichiello. Councilors on this side, anybody?
Yes.
Councilor Tavares.
Yes, actually, okay, thank you, Mr. Troy. Actually, for some reason, I totally I feel your pain, actually, and your expression. And actually, I'm totally sorry, because like, you've been did very well. We all see here, you try so hard to make things happen. We see day, every time. And we are blessed to even to have you. As we can see it, we see like, you try to move things like, for the right way. But because someone else, like, this is why make us make this decision. And I hope no one, like, we start kind of work together, because you see the situation right now. And then I feel so bad the way you express, because I can see through inside, Mr. Mayor as well. And it's very important for us to work together, because at the end of the day, we have a responsibility, or have elected us to be here to advocate on their behalf. It's not looking good sometimes when we find out we are the late or the last to find out things. Looking like, what we're here for. But at the end of the day, as of right now, we can see it like we need one another to work to move the city and to protect the people taxpayer money, because Brockton is not doing well. Everything is not doing well. And then everybody all over the place talking about Brockton. And then I hope this year, that's my hope. And we literally, not necessarily, we need to work one with another. We need to learn one from another. And then we need to work together for the people, because we have been elected by the people. We need to advocate by the people. We need to do our best for the interests of the people. Not necessarily just come here and said, I am in charge. I not necessarily need any help from anybody. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm gonna make a decision on my own. I think it's so important. We should, like, ask for advice, do teamwork, do research before we make any decision that can cost us to be here in this situation today. And thank you so much, and that's all I can say it. And thank you, Mr. Troy. You literally broke my heart, actually. And thank you again. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Councilor, from Ward 2. Mr. Texera, do you want to say anything?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was back in 2019 when Mayor first got elected. I was there for inauguration in Randolph. During your speech, you said it was going to be one mayor, one city council, one school committee. It hasn't been. The transparent, the communication is not there that I feel. Maybe to other, but to me, it hasn't been there. And I'm speaking from the heart. As a taxpayer, a person that invests in the city, a person that cares about the city. The transparent hasn't been there on my part. And I didn't vote no because I don't want to hurt anyone, or especially the kids, or the school department. But the frustration is there. We feel it, day in, day out. And it's not every time that 43 or the school department needs money, let's run and go get it. Because that's what it seems like. We never say no to the school, but we need to send a strong message to tell them enough is enough. Until we start tighten our belt and show them, listen, either we're all going to come together as one, or we're not going to be able to work together. But we need to send a strong message. And it's not because I vote no, because I want to see the state to come and take the city. And but it's to send a really strong message to make sure that we all on the same page. Thank you, and I will switch my vote to yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Griffin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I will not be changing my vote. I just want to say a couple things. This transportation department of the schools isn't going to work. They don't have a depot. They don't have professionals to run the transportation operation. These contracts are going to keep increasing. There's nothing to change it until they really look at maybe farming this back out on a contract basis instead of owning the transportation company. They're not equipped to handle it, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Clark, I think you'd agree with me also. They really aren't, they're not equipped to do it. So again, my no is really not to hurt the city. My no is to send a clear message over there that I'm not buying what they're selling. There's no way they're going to turn this transportation around. They're talking about surpluses. It's going to show a profit in years. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we really, as a city, the school committee, they have to really put some brakes on the school department, because this spending, it's not going to change. Next year, we're going to be in the same position where we see ourselves today, possibly worse. And again, the ship's heading into the rocks, and the schools are driving it. Mr. Mayor, you're the chairman of the school committee. I beg you to get a hold of them, have them get a hold of the spending over there, get some control over there. The administration there is running unbridled. There's no control over them. I hear it day in and day out from teachers, from residents in Brockton. And the trickle down that we see in the other departments in the city, you yourself, you had to make major cuts in your budget. Mr. Clarkson, you did also. Every department in the city is being adversely affected by the poor management over there. So we either need a new permanent superintendent and a completely new way of doing business through the school department. Again, my vote will stay no. I'll stand by it. But again, it wasn't here to hurt anybody. And Mr. Clarkson, I'm not trying to undermine the great work that you did or you, Ms. Boyer. You two are the shining stars in this debacle. But the school department, the administration, I have zero confidence in turning this around. So I can't endorse it. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Tavares, did you change your vote to yes?
Yes, I did change my vote.
I just want to make sure we...
Yes.
Councilor Farwell.
I just want to close this off by saying the mayor is only one vote on the school committee. Under current state law, we have to give the schools their net school spending. We're going to give them $218 million shortly. We don't have a choice in that. And there's another state law, Chapter 71, Section 34, that says once we vote that money, once we vote that $218 million, we, as the legislative body that approved that funding, have absolutely no power and authority to tell them or suggest to them how that should be spent. That is very, very dangerous, in my opinion. They can sign a contract with a union and cost us millions of dollars, and even the mayor can't stop it. So I appreciate people listening, and I appreciate you changing your vote. It is the right thing to do for the sake of this city, its financial standing and the bond rating, and I thank councilors for their indulgence.
Thank you, Councilor.
Madam Clerk, can you give the count?
Could you just, what was that? Hello?
I'm trying to get you to look this way.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. May I speak?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just to piggyback off what Councilor Farwell and others have said, I hope the Commonwealth is watching tonight. I hope our delegation is watching tonight, because this is the hole in school reform from back in 1995. When things are going well and everybody is working at an optimum level, it works. But when they're not, and when people are too concerned about who gets elected vice chair and who does this and who does that and who has the power, it doesn't work, it blows up. And I really feel we need some changes at the State House to help us with this, because it shouldn't be this hard. We're in charge of the money, and yet once we vote tonight to let that net school spending amount go, that's it. We have no control, we have no oversight, and it's worrisome when you see what we have seen in the last couple of months. It's very worrisome. I hope the Commonwealth is watching and they take note and make some changes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Clerk, so...
Madam Clerk, can you restate the vote?
10 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 7, we moved on now.
We're good. You can come back and add later. I'm sure it's coming back up again. 75, sir.
Item 75, order that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $13,000 from Human Resources HR Benefits to Weights and Measures Personal Services Non-Overtime.
Here's one of those examples, $13,000. The question is on ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 76, ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $184,861.27 from stormwater certified retained earnings to stormwater purchase of services in order to cover unanticipated expenses for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Mr. Clarkson, I believe this is probably the same one as the Board of Health. To go back.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, if you recall, we started the year in the stormwater enterprise, and then some changes were made to the stormwater makeup, limiting our ability to collect the fees. And so, as we discussed during the budget hearings, that's in the process of being reconstituted. So this is simply using the retained earnings to address that shortfall in collections for this year, and the budget has been adjusted for next year to reflect what we will actually collect in revenues.
Okay. Any questions on that? Well, the question comes to us on ordination by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nicastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted. I believe you have a couple late files.
I have one late file.
Actually, Mr. President, on items number 65 through 76. I move reconsideration on each of them in the hope that it does not prevail and they're taken collectively.
Second.
A motion has been properly made and properly seconded to take these items collectively for reconsideration with hopes that it does not prevail. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed? Reconsideration fails. My late file.
You have one late file. Need a motion from someone to accept a late file
And to accept a late file.
and act on it this evening, I believe.
It's part of the circle.
I'm sorry?
And to act on it this evening, the motion should be also.
And to take it up tonight. Motion to accept a late file, suspend the rules, and act on it tonight.
Second.
And it's not for $3 million, it's actually a mere $20,000. A motion has been properly made and second. All those in favor? All those opposed? It carries.
We have a communication from the mayor in accordance with the general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 44, recommending that the city council authorize the transfer of $20,000 from public property overtime to Board of Health overtime.
Accepted and placed on file.
Communication from the CFO relative to the same.
Accepted and placed on file.
Ordered that the following named sum be and the same is hereby transferred as the same was submitted by the mayor as follows. Transfer of $20,000 from public property overtime to Board of Health overtime, $20,000.
A question comes to us for ordination by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Move to reconsider in the hope it does not prevail.
Second.
A motion for reconsideration with hopes that it does not prevail has been properly made and second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Reconsideration fails.
Item 77, we have a resolve to invite Brockton Police Chief Brenda Perez to appear before the Finance Committee to discuss how the department is addressing the operation of vehicles at excessive speeds on city streets, the operation of off-road unlicensed vehicles on city streets, and the use of illegal fireworks in the city of Brockton, all of which affect public safety and such other related matters as she may share.
That will be referred to the Committee on Finance.
And then we have the appropriation order, which had been put to the end of the...
That was 63. 63. Mr. Clerk, 63.
Which we have read the appropriation of, hold on, let me find 63. Ordered receipt of the proposed fiscal year 2025 budget appropriations in City Council, May 28, 2024. Read and referred to the Standing Committee on Finance. That report was favorable.
We will now open our period of cuts and dodges.
If I could, just to let you know, there will be 7 votes on this when we're finished, because there is the general appropriation, and then there are the enterprise funds. So there'll be, when we finish, there'll be 7 votes.
Okay. Mr. Lally.
Mr. President, I stand to offer an amendment to the budget, a cut that has been signed by every member of this council. I hereby move to reduce from the school non-net school spending line the amount of $7 million. The appropriation in that amount is reduced from $18 million to $11 million. Mr. President, if I may, this is a couple of different actions rolled into one. This is $3 million that was mentioned earlier by Councilor Minicello that could easily be made more efficient within transportation. This is $45,000 suggested by you for uniform line item that is set aside for bus drivers that don't wear uniforms. And this is $862,125 offered by or suggested by Councilor Farwell in an act to urge against the purchase of additional buses and the hiring of additional drivers. And the rest of this is offered as a reduction back to the 11 million from last year. This money is cut, it goes into the general fund. It does not go away. It will be there in, in the future throughout the year in case it becomes necessary. But the purpose of the cut of that $3 million is an attempt to bring some responsibility. It has precedent. The council has done it in pretty much every budget that I've been a part of. Cutting money from a department, leaving it in the general fund, and saying, manage what you have for the portion of the year it will serve you, come back, show your work, and we will present the rest of the money to you. But we want them to put in a little work, try and manage that money a little more aggressively, and we want them to come back, and we want them to show what they've done and to update us and to tell us how they are performing. And that is why we offer the cut that we do tonight. And I'm sure that I won't be the only one speaking on it, but I did want to take the time to introduce it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Second, actually.
A motion has been properly made in second. Is there anybody else wants to chime in, or we're going to go right into a vote? Councilor Minicello and then Fowler.
With respect to this cut, there are ways that the school department can certainly manage their money better. Suggestions are basically they need to go back and put the preschool tier back to where it was. They need to exercise a 4-tier busing system. To eliminate some of those private contracts, and they need to go to mileage. They need to bring back some of the students that are out of district that are costing this school system a ton of transportation money. There are so many ways that monies and cost-saving methods could be imposed on the non-net school spending transportation. So it's not like we're cutting monies and we're saying you can't come back without giving any outline as to where they can find cost savings. They just need to do the hard work. Thank you.
Councilor Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, the school department asked for $372,125 for new buses. I do not believe that we should be purchasing new buses until we do a top-to-bottom evaluation of our in-house busing transportation program. We find out the strengths and weaknesses, and also whether in terms of short-term and long-term benefits it's going to benefit the students and our taxpayers. They also asked for $490,000 for 10 new bus drivers. I suspect the cost, if they were to hire 10, would be much higher than that, keeping in mind that once we turn this $11 million over to the schools, there is nothing we can do to prevent them from not buying buses, hiring bus drivers. That is the current state law. And I want to say to the mayor and to Mr. Claxon, the accounts committee can watch very carefully how the schools are spending. The CFO has authority under Chapter 324 to watch school spending. We will have an assistant city auditor to help. And by the way, those who did not support the assistant CFO, I hear you. I think given our financial situation, that's probably a very good decision, and I compliment you, and I think it speaks well of us that we can have differences of opinion, but still keep our eye on the fact that we're here to serve kids and students. I will say, Mr. Mayor, that if things do not straighten out on the school committee, and I mean this very sincerely as someone who loves the schools and enjoyed my school committee work, it may be time to look at a home rule petition to change how we govern the schools in this city. We cannot continue down the path that we're on now, and no slight against you, but I do not believe that you're going to be able to change many attitudes. I think, as they say, the die is cast, and we're just going to have to do what we can legislatively to have open competitive bidding and watch what goes on in the accounts committee and support you as best we can, support Mr. Claxon, because there's an awful lot of money at stake here. And once we approve this budget, and I'm going to say it a third time, There's nothing we can do, folks. It's all on the school committee and the school administration, and that, I do not feel comfortable about that, but it is a law. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Well, the question is on the amendment by a hand vote. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? It passes unanimously. Next. Anyone else? Any additional offers of cuts and chopping? Counselor Minichap.
I have one with regard to the Finance Department. I just think that we need to oversee the spending of the consultant fees. Not that we're not going to spend that money, but I think that it's up to us to do our due diligence, and that we should be the ones, when monies are requested for the consultants, to review it, work together with the CFO, and then do our responsibility as a counselor and approve the funds as needed. So this is no slight to the CFO. This is just basically, I think that the council needs to do its due diligence and basically continue to oversee the funds. CFO communicates, he communicates with us very well, and then we will do our job and issue them funding as we see fit and as he requests.
So what are you doing with that?
I'm looking to, from purchase of services, the amount of $750,810. We basically would oversee that funding, and CFO would come back to us.
Mr. Clarkson, what line item is this in?
It's in the purchase of services.
Of his budget.
I know, I don't see.
Consultants.
Consultants purchase of services.
Yeah, the reduction would be in purchase of service, because that's the category that the council appropriates. The line in the budget is consultants, but it would be a reduction from purchase of service for $750, $810, I think is what was said.
So ordinary maintenance services, 810,060 is the line item currently?
810,060, correct.
And the motion is to deduct how much?
To reduce it from 750,810 to zero.
It's currently 810,060, isn't it, in the budget?
Yes, so.
You didn't want to reduce the whole thing?
I just think we should be, my feeling is that we should, when the money's needed, it should be.
But reduced from the line item is currently $810,060.
Correct. Yeah, 810,60.
Well, then we got to change, we got to fix that.
Yeah. So you want to take out 750?
No, take out the whole thing.
750, 810.
So
out of the 810, 60.
59,250.
We want to take out the whole thing.
Are you looking to make the line item zero?
Correct.
So you want to reduce the account by $810,060?
No, by 750, 810.
Am I looking at the wrong line item, Mr.?
No, I think you're both saying the same thing, Mr. Clerk. I think what Councilor Minicello is saying is that he would like to reduce the line from 810,060 to 59,250. Thereby reducing it by $750,810.
Okay.
You want to go to zero.
Zero in the consultants.
Right.
So
Right.
the CFO is correct, so it would reduce that line
Okay.
item down to 59.
So we have a motion, thank you, we have a motion to reduce from the Finance Department purchase of services. Yeah, we're working on this, yeah. Account by $750,810, the appropriation in that account is reduced from $810,060 to $59,250.
Correct.
We have a
second.
We have a second on
I
that.
have a second. Any discussions on that at all? Councilor Fowler?
Just on the motion and through the chair to Council Minicello, Council, would you be amenable to an agreement that do not make the cut, but that any expenditure in excess of $50,000 would come to us for approval, and we have both the mayor of the city and we have the CFO here. I'm just concerned with taking out the flexibility for all of the city departments, because what we're doing affects every city department, because we consolidated all of the consultant money into the finance department. Would you be comfortable if we had that formal public representation and agreement that anything in excess of $50,000 would come here for us to approve?
I guess how many of those consultant contracts are for under 50,000?
Oh, there's a lot.
I don't know.
Council Powell, I think one of the things that Councilor Minicelli and I had spoken about this is the fact that he's not against the consultant line item. What he was against is the way it's dispensed, that he wanted it back here again for dispensation. Because I think in the order it basically said it's going to be up to the CFO alone to decide on the consultants, that we felt that it would make sense to come back here just for dispensation purposes.
And Mr. President, I don't disagree with that at all in terms of our fiduciary responsibility. I'm only concerned with, for example, in July and August, if something comes up, we don't have as many meetings, and if something is offered one week, it goes to FinCom the next week, and then it would be the council meeting the following week. And I just want to make sure that we don't hinder progress because of maybe oversight that is in excess of what we might be able to work out with an agreement with the mayor and the CFO. But I agree with Councilor Minicello's premise that we should be responsible for how the money is spent.
I'm amenable to a reasonable compromise. I just don't want to undermine our authority in terms of oversight and knowing what money is being spent on.
Well, the motion was made in second, so unless you want to...
Yeah, let's vote.
Unless you want to withdraw your motion and restate it.
State it, or you want to leave it as is?
I guess, let me ask the CFO, is there a minimum amount that you deem necessary in terms of over the summer that you would need?
So thank you for asking that question, Councilor. There are contracts.
To penalize, this is just meant for us all to oversee. So I want to work with you, Mr. CFO. So I just want to do our job in terms of, monitoring the funds. We see what's going on the other side of the street. We're not implying that you're doing that, but we just want to do our due diligence on both sides of the fence.
Understood completely, and I am certainly willing to work with you as we did with the ARPA funds, where we set a limit, and any projects over that limit where we came to the council and sought permission. I'm sure we can work on some sort of compromise. As you know, I'm willing to be collaborative and transparent. The procurement laws do have a threshold of $50,000 that contracts under $50,000. Under $10,000 require sound business practices. 10 to 50 require 3 quotes. Anything over 50 requires a full procurement. So we could certainly work on some sort of process that if those contracts for consultants that are over $50,000, that before the authority to execute them rests with the mayor. And so he'd have to assent to this, but I'm certainly willing that if we go out to bid for a consultant contract that's greater than 50, we just have sort of a collaborative agreement that before we execute that, we'll come and provide information to the council.
How about if we drop it to instead of the 750, 810, we reduce that by 600,000, and that way it leaves 150,000, 810 for you to deem what's absolutely necessary, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to apologize. 19 years in this room, I never came in here without a tie. I didn't know I'd be speaking today, so I truly do apologize. I support whatever you want to do, Councilor. The only example I'll give you is when the culvert collapsed on West Elm Street. It was an emergency situation at Pat Hill, and Larry Rowley needed to get a consultant ASAP. So we do have a contract routing form that goes around. Ultimately, I'm the last person to sign it. Troy signs it. Megan Bridges signs it. But I fully support your notion, your idea of anything to come back for you. So if you put a little buffer in there, what would you say, 150 grand or whatever?
Why don't we instead
Well,
of the
we have
full
a motion
amount?
on the table, so you have to.
I'll amend my motion.
Well, let's discuss it. I mean, we can continue the discussion, right, before we start making amendments.
If he just takes his motion, motion back, at least we'll go back to ground zero, and then we can discuss whatever we want to discuss. Because it seems there's no
It's either way.
consensus
You
of
can-
cutting it the way it is.
So he just needs to draw his motion.
So go ahead.
I'll withdraw my motion and make a suggested motion of
Well, no, wait a
the
minute.
account by
Withdraw
600.
your motion.
Second.
Will you withdraw your second?
Withdraw
Yes,
your
I second.
All right, all those in favor of his withdrawal of the motion?
Do we vote on that?
Now,
Yeah,
go
you're
back.
supposed to.
Okay.
We don't do it very often, but you're supposed to.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And then I make a motion to reduce that account, that line item to 600,000 and have it remain as 15810. Therefore, there's some monies in there for a contingency in case there's an emergency situation.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. President. On the motion, I appreciate you, Councilor Minichiello, for accepting a compromise permission. I don't think I would have supported a full reduction of that line item for the reasons stated. Additionally, Mr. CFO, you're making the statement that any contract over $50,000 that you would come back to seek our permission to execute that consultant contract. Was that what you're stating?
So the law clearly grants the authority to execute those with the mayor, so I think we'd have to figure out how best that process would work. But certainly, like we did with the ARPA funds, I think there was no legal requirement, but we made an agreement that any project exceeding, I think it was $500,000, we would come back, and we had a pretty detailed discussion, and the council took a vote. I think you'd have to rely on the legislative council as to the legal weight of that vote, but I think what I'm hearing is the developing of an agreement to work together, regardless of what the law requires.
So
But
potentially
again,
be some non-binding vote, or essentially, as the executive, you have the authority to execute the contract. It would just be kind of a courtesy to us.
It would, Council. I think the only caveat would, and I'd send a text and an email like I send to all of you, if it was an emergency situation, if something happened on the weekend or something happened in the summer session where you wouldn't be able to meet, I would let you know, and I would let you know the magnitude of it, but let's hope that we don't have anything like that, but I would concur with that.
Understood. And then just lastly, maybe on this issue, Mr. CFO, you stated that, and I believe this is becoming a regular concurrence, that monthly or even quarterly, but I think it's about monthly, that expenses revenue sheet that you provide to us. Maybe if this could be a category within that spreadsheet as an expense, for these consultants that are under the $50,000 that we're agreeing to, maybe if you can just put them on the list so we can have a running tab of what consultants are being hired and for what reasons and what department. I think that'd just be a useful, quick tool that we can better understand, how many consultants are we hiring and who's hiring them, and then we could go directly to the department head and maybe ask additional questions if we had those questions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay, the question comes on the amendment proposed of the cuts to the Finance Department, as stated by the clerk. By a hand vote, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? It carries.
Just for clarification, that brings that line item down to 210,060.
060.
Yep, okay.
Anyone else?
Is that it?
Anyone else?
Right here.
Councilor Duranencourt.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. I rise to reduce from the mayor's department personal service and overtime account by $300,000, the appropriation in that account is reduced from 957,542 to 657,542.
Second.
Motion has been made in second. Any discussion on the proposal? I think we're going to do this by a roll call.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak.
Yes.
Darren Allcourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
No.
Griffin.
Yes.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nacastro.
No.
Rodriguez.
No.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
8 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative.
And the item passes. Anyone else? Councilor Texera.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to make a cut from the water department. It's from $2,866,879 to $2,816,879. It's a $50,000 reduced from personal non-serve overtime.
Second.
Give me a second here.
You said from the
Do you
overtime.
want to reduce it by, what, $50,000, Councilor?
50,000.
50?
A second.
Can we get the sheet?
So, Troy, this would be in order number,
I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, for clarification, that's personal services, non-overtime?
Non-overtime.
Okay.
not overtime, right?
Was there a second on that motion?
Yes, second.
A motion has been made and second.
Before we vote on that, Mr. Clarkson, you agree this would be in item order number, this is not general fund, correct?
Right.
So
That
this would be order 3, correct?
Order 3, yes, sir.
And it'd be under user charges when we,
That would be personal services other than overtime.
2,008,000, okay, yep, I got it, minus 50,000. Okay.
All right, a motion has been made and second to amend the water department by $50,000.
Was it the law department? I thought I
Water.
said-
DPW highway water.
Oh, I thought I heard law. I'm losing my hearing. What?
Water law, you know,
Department,
same
the
thing.
water department. Okay.
By $50,000, by a hand vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed?
Opposed on water.
So let's
Roll call it or?
let's do a roll call.
Do a roll call.
Madam Clerk, please, roll call it.
Ezak.
No.
Darren Allcourt.
Yes.
Farwell.
No.
Griffin.
No.
Lally.
Yes.
Minicello.
Yes.
Nacastro.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Tavares.
Yes.
Texera.
Yes.
Thompson.
No.
7 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative.
And the amendment prevails. Anything else? Any other one? Well, we'll take a short recess to confer the numbers, and then we'll come back.
They were working.
We're back on from recess, and now the clerk will go over the appropriations line by line.
Order by order, not
Order by
line by
order.
line. Order number 1, this is a general appropriation. Move that $510,061,072 be appropriated for the following general fund departmental expenditures of the city for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025, which will be funded through the following sources. State aid, $289,710,031. Tax levy, $179,576,197. Local receipts, $37,817,844. Available funds, $2,909,075. Chapter 324 supplemental reserve, which comes out to the $517,961,072 that was the original amount. And that number reflects the budget cut of $600,000 from finance ordinary maintenance services. It reflects budget cut of $300,000 from the mayor, personal services other than overtime, and $7 million from non-net school spending. Need a roll call vote on that.
The question is on adoption of these items by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted as amended.
Order number 2, move that $242,193 be appropriated for the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, that $25,000 be included in appropriations to the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Stormwater Enterprise Fund for funding, and the $267,193 be raised as follows. User charges $300,000. General fund subsidy $0, for a total of $300,000.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Order number 3, move that $21,816,360, that is amended to $21,766,360, be appropriated for the Water Enterprise Fund, that $2 million be included in appropriations to the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Water Enterprise Fund for funding, and the $23,816,360 be raised as follows. User charges $21,200,000, retained earnings $2,606,668, for a total of $23,806,668. And that reflects a $50,000 cut in water personal services other than overtime.
Mr. Clarkson, did you want
I
to?
would say, Mr. Clerk, I would just, I believe when you said it in the beginning, you said 21,766,360, but you meant to say 23.
That is, it's a typo here, I'm sorry, it should be 23. Thank you for catching that. The order has a typo, but we'll fix that. It's 23,760,000.
So the order does appear in the book as 23,816,360. I believe the number with the cut is 23,766,360.
The appropriation is for $21,816,360 plus $2 million to be included in appropriations to the
indirect costs, right,
Indirect costs.
right. But I'm just, I believe when you said the final number.
Have it written, so it should be
766,360.
My apologies.
And the question is on adoption as amended of this line item. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ezak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted as amended.
Item 4, ordered number 4, move the $21,883,221 be appropriated for the Sewer Enterprise Fund, that $1,500,000 be included in appropriations from the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Sewer Enterprise Fund for funding, and the $23,383,221 be raised as follows. User charges $23,383,221. General fund subsidy $0, for a total of $23,383,221.
And the question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Order number 5, move that $10,430,875 be appropriated for the Refuse Enterprise Fund, that $1 million be included in appropriations to the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Refuse Enterprise Fund for funding, and the $10,430,875 be raised as follows. User charges, $10,136,236. Retained earnings, $294,639. General fund subsidy, $0, for a total of $10,430,875.
The question is on adoption by roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
Order is adopted.
The order is adopted.
Order number 6, move that $2,396,175 be appropriated for the Parks and Recreation Enterprise Fund, that $400,000 be included in appropriations from the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Parks and Recreation Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $2,796,125 be raised as follows. $1,700,000 from other departmental revenue. User charges, $0. Retained earnings, $510,967. General fund subsidy, $600,000, for a total of $2,810,697.
The question is on adoption by a roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
And the order is adopted.
Item 7, ordered, move that $1,120,091 be appropriated for the Parking Authority Enterprise Fund, that $500,000 be included in appropriations from the general fund for indirect costs and be allocated to the Parking Authority Enterprise Fund for funding, and that $1,620,091 be raised as follows. Departmental revenue, $1,621,000.
The question is on adoption by a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
Yes.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Yes.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
11 in the affirmative.
I can add it up, yeah.
Just give me a minute.
He's got a bigger calculator than you.
Let's just take a quick reset so that we can come up with the total number and the total cuts.
Oh, let's see how much we cut.
That's very good.
We are back on, Mr. Clerk. What was the total?
We have a total appropriation of $572,324,987, which represents cuts by this council of $7,950,000.
All right, so now we're going to put a question to the overall fiscal 2025 budget. And the question comes to us on an adoption of the 2025 budget as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Azak?
Yes.
Darren Oncourt?
No.
Farwell?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Lally?
Yes.
Minicello?
Stepped up.
Nacastro?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Tavares?
Yes.
Texera?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. President, on the overall...
9 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative.
On the overall budget vote just taken, I move reconsideration in the hope that it does not prevail.
Second.
A motion has been properly made and properly second to reconsider the overall budget with hopes that it does not prevail. All those in favor of reconsideration? All those opposed? Reconsideration fails. And we have an approved budget for 2025.
We're done.
Mr. Clerk, anything else?
We're done.
Counselor?
Moment of
Isaac.
council's recognition. I received exciting news today to share with the public. There's going to be a family-friendly event happening this Saturday, June 29th, 5:30 p.m. at Campanelli Stadium. It's a night out at the Knockouts, a free event for independent workers and self-employed individuals and their guests. This event is sponsored by the Massachusetts Health Connector. It sounds like a fun day for families, so hopefully people will go out to Campanelli Stadium. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Isaac. Councilor Lally.
Moment of council's recognition.
You may do, sir.
Mr. President, a lot of, this job is public service and commitment, but I want to call you out specially this evening for spending your birthday ratifying the budget. Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
I've had a few. Councilor Fowler.
Just a moment of recognition.
Please do, sir.
Since I'm the oldest person in the room, I just want to thank all of you for the honor and privilege of serving with you. I think what we did during the budget hearing reflects very well about people who are elected to office, people who share information, people who may disagree on an issue, but come together to do the public's good. And it's a privilege to know each and every one of you, and I appreciate the dialogue we always have here. We leave as friends, and we learn from each other, and I think that makes for a good city government. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Well, I too just want to thank everybody. It's not always, twins don't agree on everything, never mind children who are not related like we are. So I just want to thank you all for your tolerance and your patience in dealing with these budgets as we went along. I think when it's all said and done, I think we have done well for ourselves in the years to come. I think we've left the mark in this city the way things are supposed to be done. And I think each and every one of you should be proud of the fact that you will be able to accomplish this in the year 2024. So thank you very much for all that you've done and support and put up with my once in a while dry jokes or whatever it might be. But thank you for doing this, and we'll see each other next month.
All right.
If we have
Job
no
well
other
done.
business, when is the next month? It's the second Monday.
Third Monday.
Perfecto.
It's going to be the third Monday, if we even need one. We may not need one.
If we need one, it'll be the third Monday. If not, it'll be the fourth Monday. We'll see how many items we have, and then we'll just kind of play it accordingly.
Okay.
Having no further business for the people and the residents of the city of Brockton, this meeting is adjourned.